Hello, Dr. Nolan. I'm very excited to do this presentation. Let me start to share. So this presentation, it's focused on the book Curriculum Leadership by Parquet and Associates. And I'm very excited to share the things that I learned throughout this three chapters, chapter 5, 6, and 7, developing, implementing, and evaluating the curriculum. So, questions that curriculum leaders should ask themselves. How should school leaders apply curriculum theory and research during the curriculum development process? What is the difference between subject-centered and student-centered curricula? What are some arguments for and against higher standards curriculum? What are some recent trends in curriculum development? What role can a student play in curriculum development? So these questions really will assist the curriculum leaders to think through and ensure that the curriculum should be developed, it should be implemented to provide a quality education. Parquet and colleagues assert that there is no easy to follow set of procedures for developing a curriculum. While there are many models for curriculum design, none are intended to provide a step-by-step procedure for developing a curriculum. Because what it means here, it's that it's not easy to follow a path that how curriculum should be developed. So it depends the background of the school. It depends also the needs of the students. It depends how the curriculum can be implemented, what type of accommodations, and also what is necessary for the curriculum leaders to implement in order to meet the needs of the students. Could be academic, social, emotional. And the purpose of these explanations from Parquet and colleagues is to ensure that we educators understand that a curriculum is implemented for the benefit, to be beneficial to the students' learning development. Subject center, student center. So Parquet and Associates, they illustrate in this chapter that the crucial concern in curriculum development is whether great emphasis should be given to the requirement, the subject in the curriculum, or the student's needs. So something that was one of the answers to the questions that curriculum leaders should be asking themselves. For example, in my classroom, the students have diverse needs. I have students with autism. I have students with ADHD. I have a few students that don't have any speech at all. So what should we focus on the curriculum itself or on the students' needs? So in this lesson that I gave to my students on fine motor skills was an activity that if I have them hold the pencil and try to trace their name, some of them would not enjoy. So what I did in the beginning of the school year, I had some trays with some pool noodles and golf tees and a hammer. And each student had fun hammering the golf tees on that pool noodle. And what I noticed, they were so excited because I want to get colored golf tees. So they were able to pick their color. This little girl over here, she's so excited. She was so impressed with the reds. So she wants all the reds. And some kids did online in a line all the golf tees. Some kids learned that if they hammer in, they can at the bottom, they can hammer out so the golf tees can come out without being pulling from the fingers. But either way, they're strengthening their little fingertips and they are practicing to have fun and practicing their fine motor skills. So it was a fun lesson. And sometimes they ask, can we do the hammering again? And some of them, they passed the assessment. They're doing so well with their fine motor skills. So I'm very, very proud of these guys. The article Curriculum Framework to Facilitate Critical Thinking Skills by Boso and colleagues states that a critical thinking-based framework provides a participatory and effective learning environment for both the learner and the educator. So as stated by these authors, a critical thinking-based framework enables powerful learning, interchanges, um, from both students and educator. For example, the lesson on the fine motor skills, I was so pleased with the outcoming. Each student had so much fun and they were so engaged. So it's fun to see that they growth. And despite that disability, and each students are so ready to just hold a pencil and write their names, but some students are not yet. So that lesson met both levels in the middle, and it was fun to see how happy they were. The article connecting with students through a critical participatory curriculum highlights the educational climate. It's obsessed with narrow measurable outcomes, mainly standardized test scores. So pretty much if you focus too much on the test scores, we lose the beauty of teaching. And in schools deemed to be failing, there is a little discussion about anything other than what will move students forward on predictable, predetermined paths. Zakor, couple years ago, he said that the education system is focused on standardized test scores and taking less consideration of what the student should be learning regarding life skills along with the curriculum. I have a dear to my heart example. My son, a couple years ago, he was a junior in high school and he was taking calculus. And there was a back to school night meeting, and I went. And I heard one of the parents ask this calculus teacher, my son goes home and he doesn't know how to do the homework. And do you ever review the homework in class? So the teacher answered to that parent, I'm sorry, mom. I don't have the time. I cannot afford to go back and review. If when they do it, they send the answers online. And if it's correct, it's correct. If it's not, they needed to figure it out. So then I raised my hand and I said, but that's you are the teacher in the classroom to teach the students how to do the problem. And what's the point to teach? And he said, sorry, man, this is a calculus class. The kids are here should know the basic stuff. So I went home a little bit frustrated that night, thinking how the students can learn, can embrace the learning if the educator are not, he just focused on a curriculum, just focused to follow the curriculum, the schedule of each lesson, and not taking the time. The words he used was he couldn't afford to go back and teach those steps. So he can not take the time to ensure the students are having fun and enjoying the learning. So it's sad. High standard curriculum. Parquet and Associates quote President Obama's powerful statement on curriculum standards. He said, if you want to win the future, you will want innovation to produce jobs in America and not overseas. Then we also have to win the race to educate our kids. So he just talks about let's not have people going out of this country or even hire people from other countries. Let's win this race. Let's educate our own students, our own children. This statement made during the State of the Union address back in 2011 emphasized the belief that a standard curriculum is the key to ensuring students' learning and retain information at high capacity. However, it is important to note that this approach may not cater to the diverse learning needs of every student in America due to students' readiness, diverse academic and social needs, and let's not forget to say, some of the students, they have also a English as a second language. So they have also needs in learning English. So learning skills in speaking English. So, and that doesn't mean they don't have skills in English or math. They just need support, and they just need to um, perhaps educators be more creative with their lessons presentation so they can embrace the learning. Parquet and colleagues highlight that curriculum standards are often subdivided into benchmarks, and these benchmarks are content standard that are presented as a specific statement of what a student should understand and be able to do. For instance, at the end of 8th grade, students should know the basic properties of 2 and 3 dimensional figures. My students for special education in a transitional kindergarten class, before they go to kindergarten, we have transition meetings. In those meetings, it's a result what they learn during the transitional kindergarten. And they might go to gen ed with support, still with the speech services, or they might go to special ed kindergarten with a mainstreaming approach where they're going to go for an hour a day and stay with the gen ed kindergarten students. And sometimes, if they didn't meet the curriculum or didn't met their goals, they go to a smaller class size, which is called intensive program for students who needs a one-on-one in occupational therapy and a speech more often, not once a week in a group, but one-on-one, maybe 3 times a week. And it's interesting to see that these students in my class, before they graduate to kindergarten, they need to learn all the 26 letters in the alphabet. They needed to learn and recognize numbers 1 to 10. And they also need to learn the colors, primary colors. They need to know some spatial concepts, and they need to know at least 4 shapes. So there are standards that as an educator, I need to follow. And it's interesting to see that as we implement their daily environment, they already know, but they don't know how to show. So as we help them to show their abilities and their knowledge, they're all going to meet the curriculum standards. Parquet and colleagues claim teachers and learners play significant roles in embracing curriculum implementation. The students' goals must be compatible or they will challenge to achieve. So as a special education teacher, each student of mine, they have an IEP, which is individualized educational plan. And each student has between 3 to 5 goals. So it is vital for me to, when I teach a lesson, for example, on numbers, I needed to look at the student's goals and I needed to accommodate each student's readiness to ensure that the lesson's going to meet the student's goals. And also the students that doesn't have a goal on, and they already learned numbers, they know 1 to 100, but the goal is 1 to 10. I was still going to ensure that the lesson is challenge for those students. So there's accommodations on the curriculum side. Curriculum implementation, instruction, and technology. That's a fun topic. Questions that curriculum leaders should be asking themselves. What are the interrelationships between curriculum implementation and curriculum instruction? What role can technology play in curriculum implementations? What are the characteristics of learning tasks that students find meaningful and authentic? What can a school leader do to integrate technology into the curriculum? What expectations does today's tech-savvy student bring to school? So those, again, are questions that curriculum leaders should ask themselves before they implement a curriculum. So one ways that I implement technology in my class is most of the kids in my class love Legos. And sometimes we watch a 5 minute Lego video, how to build a dinosaur with the Legos. And I thought, why not implement Legos as they learn the letters of the alphabet? So one of the fun things, we have different Legos, different sizes, and we have those cards that shows how the letters in the alphabet can be built and have a shape the letter M, have a shape the letter R, all the letters of the alphabet. And let me tell you, the students have so much fun because they're building Legos. They love Legos. And we watch before we do this lesson or review the lesson. I assess them a 5 minute Lego, what kind of dinosaur can you build the Lego? What kind of castle you can build with the Lego? And then we implement the letters of the alphabet. A school principal must create a cadre of teacher leaders for each grade level in the content area. As emphasized by Parquet and associates, the school administrators are responsible for creating a team of teacher leaders for each grade level. So in this picture, here's me and one of the district teacher support meeting. So I'm right here. It was a long day that day, but we had this meeting. And this meeting, it's so much fun to discuss about lesson strategies. What can we do as a team to support our students? And every one of us work with students with disabilities. And it's amazing to see the ideas. And I teach SDCTK, and this lady, she teaches SDC Kinder. So it's fun because next year she might have some of my students. And it's fun to see the implementation. And actually, we have a district representative. She's a TOSA teacher on a special assignment, and she's also have great ideas from gen ed teachers. And I am so happy to be in this group, in this team of teacher support, that I receive support as I give the support as well. Authentic learning tasks enable students to see the connection between curriculum and the world. Parquet and colleagues explain the steps for the direct instruction method. He talks about that set objectives, standards for mastery. So when we teach a lesson, let's make sure the kids enjoy what they're learning. Let's not dream about small tasks that they can do, but let's take the kids out of the comfort zone and ensure that they can learn and they can grasp and provide support. Teach content directly to students. Don't let them learn from a iPad or box light. Have that connection, the interaction, the dialogue with the students. Provide correct feedback to students on their learning. Make sure the students know that you're listening what they're saying and give them feedback. Just give some praises. In my case, my little ones, I always give them praises. Good job. You did very good when you're striving to do what Miss Paula asked you to do. Provide additional time. Give some time for them to fulfill a task, or if they need help, let them think. Let not giving them answers, but provide ways that they can figure it out the answer with the support that you are giving to them. And follow a cycle of teaching, testing, reteaching, and retesting again. And that is such a blessing to me because with my little ones, I enjoy teaching, remind them. It's a lot of reminders that we go through in our classroom. And it's good because they start to remind me things that if I tell today we're going to do this, because remember yesterday we talking about the letter L, and they, Miss Paula, did you bring what you said? I'm like, yes, I did, but thanks for reminding me. Just acknowledge that they are on the same page as you. Petria and colleagues discussed in their narrative that technology has significant impact in our work in leisure spaces, but education is still working to build a bridge between the technological knowledge and skills required for living now and preparing students for the future. So pretty much, Petria and colleagues are saying that, yeah, the innovation technology is going so fast, but to ensure the education is taking the right path, there is still a bridge that we need to ensure that is not just having fun, but the technology is building together and helping the students meet their curricular standards and also embrace the learning. Curriculum technology. Parquet and Associates states that to provide effective leadership for curriculum development, school leaders should understand today's tech-savvy students. With few exceptions, students are more wired than their teachers. Have you seen that? Yes. I agree with Parquet and Associates because where some of the students have more experience with comes to technology. Yeah, some students, I have a 5-year-old, for example, when I'm looking a song on when we're doing our morning meeting, good morning. I have a little pointer. He grabbed the pointer and he showed me the link I should click because I am looking and I can't see it or finding and find it. And he comes and click because he knows the name of the link and he knows how the links look like. So pretty, a 5-year-old knows that. So it's pretty impressive. And finally, curriculum evaluation and assessment of learning. And this is such a fun lesson because when I got the job a few years ago, I taught preschool. I was in the assessment team. And being in the assessment team for little ones when they turn 3 and they are speech delay really meant a lot to me to be able to provide some tasks during the assessment and help the parents to see the development. I did fine motor skills, gross motor skills, and cognitive, some tasks building a bridge with the blocks or putting a puzzle together. Those cognitive skills help the team to evaluate the students and assess each of the students' learning. And then after the assessment, there was a result of the assessment, and we met for an IEP to see if the student needed to receive services or not. So questions that curriculum leaders should ask themselves. What is a curriculum evaluation? What is the educational leader's role in curriculum evaluation? How can classroom assessment enhance student learning? What are some alternative assessments that teachers can use to assess the students' learning? Parquet and colleagues declare that they say that the curriculum evaluation involves making systematic judgment about the quality or value or educational programs in a school or district and developing strategies for improving those programs. So let me read it again. Curriculum evaluation involves making systematic judgment about the quality or value or of educational programs in a school or district and developing strategies for improving those programs. So when programs are instituted or implemented in schools, it is important to evaluate those programs and ensure that these programs are the educational programs in school or district are developed to build up the students' academic growth, okay? The educational leadership role in curriculum evaluation, leadership learning must look at the collected data that represent not just the written or taught and learned curriculum, but also the hidden and experience in curriculum. So not just what the students met the tasks or they took a test and the results of the test after a lesson being taught, but also the hidden experience that they learn from learning a specific lesson. Classroom assessment can enhance the students' learning. Parquet and colleagues explain that there is no single right way to assess a student learning. And I love this because, as clarified by Parquet and Associates, it is vital to provide assessment to students with multiple opportunities. So in this picture over here, for instance, when I taught a lesson to my students on spatial concepts, I assessed them with visuals. At the end of the lesson cycle during the assessment, I utilized an object lesson, a maraca, visuals, and a song on spatial concepts to ensure that each student could show what they retained from the lesson. So I recall that that was one of the assessments. We learned a lesson in spatial concept. We Part of the lesson was to sing a song, but then at the end of the cycle of the lesson, we use a maraca, and I want to see if they knew. And the song pretty much talks about where we should put the maraca: on top of the head, on a shoulder, behind the back. And I noticed that each student had so much fun with the maraca, and they all passed. Yeah, they all knew what the maraca should go as we listened to the song's prompt. And then I was not so satisfied with the results. I did the obstacle course. I have the students sitting in this chair, and each one took turn to go under the table, in a tunnel, on a balance beam. And they did a couple times each student. And to me, seeing the students following the prompts and listening and take turns meant a lot and was engagement. And I made sure they gave high five when the friend was done, and then we clapped. It was such a fun assessment for my students. A key element of curriculum evaluation involves assessing how students have acquired the knowledge and skills that comprise a curriculum goals and outcomes. Children are resilient and will retain the knowledge from the lessons as educators pre-assess each student, detect their readiness, and implement object lessons, hands-on activities, and plenty of visuals at the end of each lesson cycle. In this final photo, it's a picture of my students learning the power of mixing different colors. So I need to assess them because one of the curriculum standards that they need to meet, and they need to learn colors. So what I did, each student had a squeezed bottle, and I had a tub, 3 tubs, because I have 3 groups. I have 12 students, and this is a group of 4. And each container had food coloring, and as they squirted the vinegar in the food coloring, different colors fizzed, and students were astonished by different colors mixed with the fizz from the vinegar and the baking soda chemical reaction. The students were engaged, discovered the power of combining 2 different colors, and enjoyed the classroom lesson. And it's interesting to see here these students that um, I have a boy here that knows all the colors. You can talk about what color is this? Magenta, like colors that little 5-year-old doesn't know. They know red, green, and blue, and that's that they need to know. And then I have this little girl who knows some, and I have this little girl that doesn't know much at all. And I was so happy to see everyone is working together, scoring this little bottle of vinegar and enjoying. And she was so engaged. She even held on the side of the tub. And we learned that we can mix um, green and red and mix purple, yellow and red, we mix orange. So they were so excited. And I even put some boiled eggs so we can mix the eggs too. And everyone took an egg home. And the next day they said, I ate my egg, my colored egg. So it was fun to see how excited the lesson was. And I believe hands-on activities really embrace the lesson. And I feel very grateful to see how much these students were able to see and mix colors by doing this activity, despite their readiness. Some kids, like I said earlier, was very low and doesn't even have a speech, but didn't impact the students to participate and engage. And it was fun to see the outcome in this lesson. Proverbs 18:15 reads, "An intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge." Proverbs is a collection of sayings assembled by the Israelites, teaches us that all the intelligence that the heart acquire and the wise seek for knowledge are fruits of the Spirit that comes from God. I feel very blessed to work with atypical students who need extra assistance, sometimes extra visuals, to acquire knowledge and support to seek wisdom. And I am so grateful for this assignment that helped me to gain a testimony that hands-on activity really helps my students to learn, help them to get out of the comfort zone and enjoy each task on the curriculum that I need to teach them. And this is the reference that I use for this presentation. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.